Hi, Scott Cook here, and I want to go over something that's crucial to the success of your and your team's business, and it's overcoming telephone call reluctance. I want to show you some tips and pointers on how to help your team overcome this call reluctance for prospecting and building their business. So, if you'd like to learn more about how to assist your team in exploding their business, stay tuned, and I'm going to show you some tips. Let's talk about getting over call reluctance. What is telephone call reluctance? Well, someone in your success team, and by the way, I know it's called downline by other teams and companies and network marketers, but I absolutely hate the term downline. I think it's derogatory. So, someone in your success team won't or can't pick up the phone and make prospecting calls, even if they're reaching out in other ways, like email, text, social media, etc. At some point, they've got to use that phone and actually talk to people. And you, their sponsor, have to make phone calls to get customers and build your networking business. Well, guess what? So do they. Now, telephone call reluctance is a symptom of underlying uncertainties. If you ferret out the correct cause for the reluctance, you won't be able to keep your success team members away from the phones. So let's get moving here. You don't want to let your associates drop off the radar screen over unmade phone calls. Instead, run them through a checklist that will get them producing winning phone calls. Because success in network marketing absolutely depends upon their ability to make contacts and communicate with people. Once you've discovered that a member of your team has trouble getting on the phone, there's a number of things you can do to get this problem fixed. And working with them to solve this is going to make them a valuable member of your team, and their confidence will soar. I've developed a checklist that you can use with anybody in your success team to help them overcome this call reluctance. And it will help them get on the phone comfortably and competently. I'll share this with you a bit later. Okay, now as you look at the checklist I'm going to share with you, you will see that a lot of what we're going to be doing is getting people to focus on the future, their goals, and the things they want to achieve and accomplish, their deepest ambitions, their why. It helps your team members to put the attention on the real business and team builder actions and off the problems common to a network marketing business. Now, you may wonder why we focus on the goals for the call and not the problems of the last call. Well, the answer is really pretty simple. The more you focus on what you want and stop focusing on what you do not want, the more you start getting what you want. In effect, you get what you put your attention on. You'll find this is true in just about any aspect of life, not just network marketing. So, we don't focus them on the problem. And this right here, this is the nuts and bolts here. See, this is not an inspiration building exercise. These are real questions that require real answers and specifics. Indeed, the more you focus them on what they want and stop focusing on what they do not want, the more they will start getting what they want. Think about kids or training dogs for a moment. I'm a retired professional dog trainer. I can speak of training dogs. I can also speak of bringing kids up. But they're acting up, and you start correcting them. And they start acting up even more. Well, add one little thing to that. So every time they do something right, compliment and validate them. This is what reward-based positive reinforcement in training dogs is based upon, and it works exactly the same way with kids. You'll find almost instantly that they're doing more of those right things. Why? Because you started putting your attention on the things that they do that are right. They, in turn, started doing more of those things. You elicit the good behaviors, and they give you more of them. As a trainer, I always taught my students to catch their dog doing something right. And it's the same thing with your success team members. Now, I'm providing this checklist for you. It's most effective when you, the leader and sponsor of your team members, are conducting it on a member of your success team. However, that's not the only way to use it. If you feel bugged about something and there's nobody to work with, you can answer many of the questions on the checklist yourself, about yourself. And for those actions which require that the steps be shown to another, you can pair up with anybody in your group and work together. So, use this checklist with your struggling team members. Okay, here we go. What's your goal for your MLM business? Is it written down? Where is your written plan for how to achieve your goal? Did you write it down? Did you fill out the strategy review worksheet and go over it with your sponsor? What step on the plan are you doing now? What business resources do you use for your network marketing business? Are these all that you could or should be using? Do you have an active lead source? Show it to me. Demonstrate how you prospect for a new customer. And let's get one together. How do you service your customers? Show me a live demonstration. Show me how you get new distributors. And let's get one together. How would you train a distributor to get new customers? Let's have you train one while I observe. Please introduce someone whom you've trained and who does get new customers, so I can watch them demonstrate how they prospect for a new customer. How do you train distributors to get distributors? Train one while I observe? Or introduce me to someone you trained who can get distributors. Let's ask that person to demonstrate getting a new distributor. That's my checklist. Now, I want you to ask your team members, why do you exhibit telephone call reluctance? And you'll hear a lot of different answers. The answer to the question, why do you exhibit telephone call reluctance, is different for every person. But the sign of the existence of the reluctance is always the same, and it's very simple. Whatever activity or activities you've asked them to show you cannot be demonstrated. But I could be rejected as a non-answer. Call that bluff with a tape recorder and a command. Invite me to your business meeting now and turn the recorder on. They won't be able to do it. You know, I don't care if a person's been in sales for 20 years. If they don't make the calls, it's because there's something about the business they don't know how to do. Why? Because the real answer is not fear of rejection. They just don't know how to do a phone call, an interview on the phone. Inability to predict an outcome. That's all there is to fear. Think about skydiving. The inability to predict the outcome puts a fear about skydiving into people. People who have never done it have a harder time predicting the outcome because they just don't know anything about the equipment or the right things to do in order to do it safely. People who get up enough nerve to take the class before jumping, who learn what they have to do enough to overcome the fear, get in that plane and jump out the door at 12,500 feet. Not knowing what will happen on a phone call can paralyze your team members. But with some training, you and they can overcome this. So find out what they can't do and think a little differently, out of the box. Now don't take those excuses. As you're working through the checklist, make sure you don't buy these excuses for telephone call reluctance. Instead, run your associates through the checklist above and then train them on whatever comes up that they cannot do. And make sure they don't misunderstand words in the subject. Misunderstanding a word can prevent the ability to apply or do an action. So be a good communicator. And once they know what to do, they'll do it. Best practices are always going to include competence of all team members on the phone. Watch your team's morale soar. Nothing produces a high morale in people more than being able to produce and producing in abundance. The only way to ensure that your team can and does produce in abundance is to help them overcome the problems by providing real hands-on training, and then watch how their morale soars when you do. Hope you've gotten value out of this. If you have, please like and share it. Thanks.